Today on So Sonic, we're talking about the new Duwap Kaine album, If You Need Me, I'll Be Somewhere Safe. If you like music and discussing it, make sure to like and subscribe. But thank you for watching. Now let's get into If You Need Me, I'll Be Somewhere Safe by Duwap Kaine. Duwap Kaine is a 23-year-old artist from Savannah, Georgia, who has been in the underground rap game for a long time, basically his whole sentient life. He's an underground staple at this point. And in recent years, he's been getting more popular than really ever before, thanks to TikTok and some of his songs that have been trending sounds on the platform, such as Santa, Fuck the Streets, or I Lost, which really proves that Duwap Kaine has hit-making power, and he has a sound that people are hungry for. One of my favorite aspects of Duwap Kaine's music is his very personal lyrics, his inclusion of personal experiences all throughout his songwriting. A lot of his music tends to read like a diary, or maybe just a conversation with himself to somebody else, or himself with himself, and it makes for a very personal experience. I've enjoyed plenty of his music in the past, like the aforementioned 3 songs that I previously named. And I've enjoyed some of his recent album releases, such as Nobody Is Coming to Save You from January of last year. I thought it was a really fun project and pretty quality. But unfortunately, with this new release, If You Need Me, I'll Be Somewhere Safe, I couldn't find many saving graces about it. This track list is littered with a bunch of beats that sound like they were pulled straight out of a free-for-profit YouTube channel. Almost nothing out of any of these beats or songs in general stick out to me. Nothing is memorable. I've listened to this album probably 4 times now, and I couldn't hum you a single melody from it. And that's just simply not the case with a bunch of Duwap Kaine's previous releases, and a lot of his best music is super earwormy. Songs such as I Lost, or Santa, or Fuck the Streets, or Whip Me. All of these songs, either due to TikTok constantly repeating them, or just the fact that they are quality hooks, have such memorable melodies and lines from them. And that's just unfortunately not the case with this album, in my opinion. It seems like every beat, every melody, every verse, every chorus on this album was done safely. It doesn't seem like there's any experimentation here or any super highly personal lyrics that may make the album a little more enjoyable, of a little more substance. But really all we're getting here is kind of like nothing lyrics and like half-assed melodies over these really basic beats. I think the first beat and song on this album that I actually somewhat enjoyed was the song Bills. To me, it sounds like something off of Music by Cardi, which is an album that I thought was okay. You know, I thought it could have been better, but I'm also not a hater of it. I think it's one of the catchiest beats and songs on this album, and it is certainly one of the more memorable melodies. The song Miracle is probably the only song that I could say that I thoroughly enjoyed on this album. It's the first beat that actually sticks out. It's the first beat that actually sounds like it's trying to go for something unique, you know? I really enjoy the wacky and weird sounding leads on the beat. I think it could have been a little more memorable lyrically and melodically, but other than that, this is definitely the highlight of the album, in my opinion. But the unfortunate fact remains that for most of this album, it really just sounds like a high schooler bought their first mic and got auto-tune, you know? I think Duwap has this habit of going through so many melodic ideas in a song, in a verse or a chorus or a hook, that the ones that jump out as interesting instantly get buried underneath a bunch of more mediocre melodic ideas. Instead of sitting on one of these ideas and repeating it, making for a more memorable hook, a more catchy chorus, it seems like with each line he's doing these unique riffs that just seem to bury all of the interesting melody ideas that come before it. I mean, take for instance the song I Lost. You know, you can hum that melody to yourself, you can think about it, it's not going away, and it's because he repeats kind of the same melodic idea throughout that entire song, and it makes for a very catchy, very memorable tune. But yeah, I just find most of the songs on this album to be very basic, very boring, unfortunately. There's no risks involved. You know, most of these songs sound like they could have been released 5 years ago, and they would have just blended right in, you know? I mean, there's nothing experimental or boundary pushing or worth listening to about this album. But yeah, unfortunately, I just find most of the songs on this album to be pretty boring, pretty basic. There are no risks in this album at all. I mean, most of the songs on this album sound like they could have been released 5 years ago, and they would have blended right in, you know? And it's a shame because I really do like Duwap Kaine. I've been a fan of a lot of his previous work, and I think he's capable of making very compelling music, but this album is just not that, unfortunately. My favorite song on the album is definitely Miracle, and my least favorite, honestly, it's hard to choose because a lot of these songs are very basic, very bland, and they all blend in, but maybe Declined if I had to choose one. I'm gonna give If You Need Me, I'll Be Somewhere Safe by Duwap Kaine a 38. But let me know what you think about this album down in the comments. If you like this review, make sure to like and subscribe. If you hated this review, make sure to call me stupid in the comments and subscribe to do it again next week. If you want to watch my previous review, I'll have it up on the screen right now. But thank you for watching. I very much appreciate it.